Well, welcome to another in our series on creativity and innovation in knowledge management programs. And today our theme is organizational mindsets. My name is John Gerard, and once again, I'm happy to be joined by Stephanie Barnes in Berlin. Stephanie, how's Berlin today?
Great, wonderful and sunny.
Oh, good. Well, today we want to talk about organizational mindsets. And I recall back in 2015, Peter Senge had this to say, and I'm quoting. He said, there's only two mindsets that can infiltrate an organization, control or learning. And he said, it's a question of which one is dominant. Now, that's a very powerful statement, but what are the implications for knowledge management?
Yeah, and I agree with his statement. I think a lot of times there is one or the other that dominates. I think I like to believe, and maybe I'm naive, but I think I've said this in some of our other videos, is I like to think that there's a middle road, that there's some, I think there's a time and a place for control, and I think there's a time and a place for, not having control and being more open and a flatter organization and more innovation, more creativity. I have an accounting background. I hate to think about accounting without some kind of controls in it. Although I think sometimes we get a little too caught up in the accounting controls and counting pennies when we should be paying more attention to bigger issues. So I think as far as KM goes, I think because ideally KM's cross-functional, cross-organizational activity, KM should be in there facilitating, mediating, finding the middle ground, finding what's best given the set of circumstances.
Sure, and I take your point about the middle ground, and I certainly agree with that. But maybe the question is, can creativity and innovation exist in an organization where there is a control mindset? So maybe that middle ground isn't quite there. Can we still have creativity and innovation?
I think so. I think it's around the edges, and it gets downplayed, and but people will find creative ways around the rules, or they'll do little creative things, in areas that don't have as much control, and so you don't see it as much in some other organizations where there's less control. But I think that there's still creativity pops up in surprising areas. So about be careful what you measure and be careful what you wish for. You'll get exactly that behavior, but you'll also get behavior that goes around, meets the requirements of the rules, but goes around it at the same time.
Sure, and I think that's great advice. How can a leader change that organizational mindset if he or she wishes to move from that control mindset to a learning mindset? What can he or she do, that leader? What can they do to change the mindset?
A lot of that stuff, a lot of the things that leaders have to do is lead by example. So if they've, ruled with an iron fist before, they've got to be shown to, having gotten rid of the iron fist, and to be open up and be more open and change their policies and change their behaviors, because people do look at that. And I think a lot of times we think, oh, people, oh, no one pays attention to the leaders. People do pay attention. So it's a lead by example. It's a long process because you're talking about culture change in that situation, and that takes time. It's not something that happens in the first quarter or the second quarter. This is something that takes 3, 5, 10 years.
That's very interesting. I remember an organization I once worked in, and I think the leader had just read Senge's Fifth Discipline, and he came back and he told us explicitly that from now on, we were going to be a learning organization. And we all sort of sat there and thought, okay, maybe you read the book, but you didn't really take it to heart, did you? Well, I think that's great advice, Stephanie. Thank you so much. And thanks for joining me today to talk about your thoughts on organizational mindsets. And I think we should chat again soon. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's great.
All right, thanks everybody. Be sure to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Post any comments and we'll do our best to answer them. Thanks.